Hey, folks, welcome to Market Intraday Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com, your leaders in pure technical analysis, avoiding all that Wall Street hype. This video for Tuesday, May 1st, 2012, is sponsored by RealTick. All right, let's get right into it, folks. The markets are trading sharply higher today. Dow up 114, Nasdaq up 25, S&P up about 15. But the key to today's action is very, very simple here. European markets are closed today. That means very, very quiet on the one area that is the question mark for the U.S. markets. All right, generally, economic news has been good here. We got more good economic news today on the ISM Manufacturing Index. And the big question mark continues to be, well, what's going on in Europe? Europe is closed. Therefore, traders today, May 1st, May Day, taking it light. Volume is unbelievably light, and therefore, in light volume with no worries out of Europe on the forefront today, the markets are able to have a solid upside move. And that's, again, exactly what you're seeing before you on the charts. We opened kind of right around the flat line, and then we got the ISM number on light volume that ripped this market higher. We came right into the slanted trend line, which is a great trend line. Let me show you exactly where this trend line came from, folks. Zoom out. And look at this. I mean, this is just the coolest stuff ever. Take the pivot here, connect it through this little pivot right there, which we gapped below, and that's where you initially got that major breakdown. Connect those two and just draw it, and you actually hit today's high right there. And that is a great trend line, folks. I mean, that's 1 in a million type trend lines. And again, seeing that trend line, you can ultimately short into that, and if you did, you got a nice pullback on it. Now, the volume is not conducive to much more of a pullback, really. In all fairness, you got a nice pullback off that level. Unless Apple collapses here dramatically. Now it's pulled back sizably, but unless it really collapses, I don't see this market selling off this afternoon on light volume. All right, let me go over a couple little odds and ends that I'm talking about here. Based on what we're seeing today, Apple continues to be kind of a wild trade and somewhat on the weak side. Apple today was up as much as $12 plus up here and has since gone all the way back down to the flat line. And that's very unusual for Apple. I mean, in all fairness, for those of us that have watched Apple over the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, it usually goes up, and when it's up, it stays up and maybe even climbs higher. But we're not seeing that same type of action in Apple, which tells me the distribution by institutions continues. It tells me that we're continuing to see a stock that is not what it used to be after earnings and after all these other factors, and we are continuing to see a weak Apple. And Apple is 20% of the Qs, so obviously the Qs are going to be affected by this, and there's no doubt about it. All right, so again, Apple's something to watch. One little side note here, though, you have a little pseudo-bottoming tail on Apple here, so we actually could see a little bit of a bounce. If this does not happen and Apple comes down, closes below this bottoming tail low, you will go and retest this double bottom. All right, I'll be scalping this double bottom if it comes down into that level for a quick in and out scalp, and then ultimately I'll look for even lower lows. If we take that out, I honestly think we have a good chance of going all the way down to this area. See this 575 to 570 area? That area right there would be your next major level on Apple Inc. All right, so there's a lot going on here. I mean, there's definitely a lot of action, at least in other stocks, while the markets are pretty quiet. And again, the markets, if you look at the spiders, we just had that one initial move up, which kind of lasted for about 2 hours, and since then we've just gone sideways. It's been very, very quiet, especially since that initial run up. As you can see, the market's just kind of pausing here. You have a small bear flag underneath the 20. In this volume environment, though, again, it's a little hard to imagine that's going to play out with any, major moves. Okay? And again, the reason it would play out if we did see downside would be because Apple's dumping out. And we want to keep an eye on Apple this afternoon. No doubt about that. All right, what other stocks are moving today? MasterCard reported earnings this morning. That stock continues to climb at new all-time highs up here, although it's only up $10 and change. It's a nice move, but it's not a huge, huge move. Stock extremely extended today. Also, another stock to keep on your watch list is SPG. Look at this chart on SPG, especially lately. They reported earnings last week, and we can see today, again, continuing to climb up on the bullish move in the markets. All right, now going to a couple other stocks. Well, first let's take a look at the dollar. The dollar is trading slightly higher on the day, but you do have the head and shoulders pattern, which is now obviously playing out or has triggered. And here's your head and shoulders pattern on the UUP, which is the dollar ETF. And there's your neckline right there. You can see it's broken. As long as it remains down here, this does have the potential to go lower. And we have to continue to recognize that, folks. There's absolutely a chance that the dollar could continue to fall. A continued falling dollar would generally, the thought process is, yield a slight up move in the markets. Down dollar usually makes the markets go inverse to that, which would be up. And it is something we need to continue to pay attention to. Any type of move back above this 200 moving average and this blue line would negate the the flag pattern, and all of a sudden we'd have to start talking about a possible failure of a head and shoulders pattern, which would reverse and cause a major move up in the dollar. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on here. And by the way, folks, another swing trade alert played out perfectly to target. Take a look at this. Let me just ask you this simple question. Would you have liked to have been in Sears Holdings? All right, get this. Sears Holdings at $52 right here. Look at the move today. It's up $9 today alone. Would you have liked to have been in that trade? I would think so. Well, our members were. Research Center members, and by the way, there's a 7-day free trial for the Research Center. Research Center members were in this trade from $52, and it spiked all the way to a high of 65.7 today. That's in 1 week. I repeat, 1 week. 52 to 65. That is an amazing move. Another move, another profit we made today, ConocoPhillips. ConocoPhillips up $2. You can see it looks like a big gap down, but they actually spun off PNX, which is a exploration company, and they spun that off. So if you factor that in, the stock is actually doing pretty well today. ConocoPhillips is up 6 cents, and actually PNX isn't the symbol on that, but nonetheless, COP having a good day today. We took half off the profits off the table on ConocoPhillips today for almost a $2 gain, and we're still holding the other half. So the profits continue to roll in this market. I don't care if the market's going up. I don't care if it's down. We're positioning ourselves to make the most out of it and to make profits. And you can do so as well by coming to InTheMoneyStocks.com and taking the 7-day free trial. Try us out. If you tried us out from last week to this week, you just made a huge gain on Sears Holdings and ConocoPhillips. I mean, just those two alone. Unbelievable stuff. All right, so we'll continue to keep an eye on here on things. Apple's starting to come down a little bit more, so we do want to keep an eye on things here on Apple as it's coming back down to those lows. Let's bring up the Apple intraday chart again. And here's your intraday Apple. So you can see you have that little tail, and now we're coming all the way back down here, and we want to see if this is going to possibly move below. Believe it or not, folks, I got to get back to trading because I think I'm going to trade some Apple action here. If you want to join us, come to InTheMoneyStocks.com and join the pros. Take the 7-day free trial and rock it. Take care.